20 states, including Colorado, have filed lawsuits against the Trump administration over the series of layoffs. They argue that the firings are hurting the economy of their states. They also say it's costing their states tax revenue. Joining us this morning is our 9 News legal expert, Whitney Traylor. Whitney, good morning.
Good morning, Jordan.
All right, tell us a little bit more about the recent lawsuit that was filed by 20 states against the Trump administration. Were you surprised that many states came together on this one?
No, I wasn't necessarily surprised, and Colorado's one of those states as well. I think the argument is creative, though, and because what they're arguing is they're saying, look, these mass firings, they're essentially a reduction in force, and because it's a reduction in force, and these are federal employees, they have to follow certain procedures before they could terminate everyone. And so they're saying that as a result of this, now there's all these expenses being put on the states, unemployment, job placement, investigating them. And so they're saying, look, this is causing us irreparable harm. And so they're asking for a preliminary injunction for this judge to actually stop and reverse these terminations.
You were talking about that process that they have to follow when it comes to these firings.
Yeah.
We know that they started with probationary employees. Does that kind of give them a stronger legal standing that they started with probationary employees?
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why they did it, because these probationary employees have less rights. And when we're talking about probationary employees on the federal side, it's really less than 2 years. You have less protections as your job is a property right. If you're non-probationary, they have to go through certain procedures. But nonetheless, even doing it this way, because it was so many different employees, thousands and thousands of employees, that it's really a reduction in force, and they have to give, for example, 60 days notice to the states. They have to follow a number of procedures like that. If it's going to be more than a certain number of employees in a certain region, they have to let the states know, because this is going to be a lot of resources to put on the states. And for example, in Maryland, there were 25,000 terminations just in Maryland.
So watching all of this play out, I'm curious, what are the strongest legal arguments for both sides here?
Yeah, well, I think for sure the states have a stronger argument overall that this was a reduction in force. It was a mass layoff. And when they say performance, I don't think the federal government can show that it was performance related. And this happens a lot when I was representing employees, and the employer would terminate them and say, hey, they were the worst employee in the world, but all of their reviews were excellent. They got raises every year. There was no discipline. And that's the same situation here that the states are arguing, is that, hey, you're telling us that these people were terminated for performance, but you didn't identify what the performance was. It was all happened at the same time. So this is reduction in force, so we should have gotten notification. That's the states. Now the feds are saying, look, states, you can't tell us what to do. We're the executive branch. We govern these employees, so we're going to go forward. But I think that's a tough argument, because Congress also has to be involved, because this money has already been appropriated to these employees.
Okay, we're out of time, but I think what you just said begs the question, what happens next?
Yeah, well, the judge said he would issue a decision promptly, so I would expect something within the next week or so, and then the case will go forward and we'll get a final disposition months down the road.
All right, Whitney, we appreciate your help this morning. Thank you very much.